Hello, everyone. I'm Margarita Quihuis, Executive Director of the Peace Innovation Lab at Stanford, and I will be hosting today's panel on protecting people. My first guest, my first panelist, is the Right Honourable Patricia Scotland, Queen's Counsel. The Baroness Scotland is noted as the first woman in more than the 700-year history of the office to serve as Her Majesty's Attorney General for England and Wales and for Northern Ireland. And with her responsibilities, part of her portfolio is responsibility for gender equality, domestic violence, forced marriage, international child abduction, and promoting diversity and equality of opportunity, particularly for women and girls. Thank you, Baroness Scotland, for being on this panel. Thank you so much. Our next panelist is Liv Tørres. She is the Director of Pathfinders for Peaceful, Just, and Inclusive Societies, hosted by the Center on International Cooperation at New York University. And then our third panelist is Natalie Deacon, and Natalie is the Head of Sustainability for Avon. And she's focused on igniting Avon's purpose throughout and beyond the organization. She's responsible for overseeing Avon's sustainability goals to create positive environmental and social impact. Thank you so much. I am thrilled to have three very powerful and dynamic women on this panel. So I'm going to start with the Right Honourable Patricia Scotland. What will be the impact on reducing violence when we see a world of true gender equality, with economic empowerment for women and women properly represented in positions of leadership the way the three of you are today?
I think we will see that we have an opportunity to save lives and livelihoods. And there's never been a more important moment to do that than right now. As Secretary General of the Commonwealth, I am responsible and relate to 54 countries. That's 2.5 billion people, 50% of whom are women and 60% of whom are under the age of 30. During this terrible pandemic, where we've seen more than 200 million people's lives affected, and we've had more than 4.5 million deaths, we've also seen a wicked hidden pandemic, and that is domestic violence. We've got 1 in 3 women and girls in our world affected by domestic violence. It's costing us a fortune. Way back in 2016, the estimate was $1.5 billion were being wasted in economic consequences of this domestic violence. And we've got an opportunity to change that. We have worked together for a long time. I've spent the last 40 plus years on this subject, and we know what we can do. We launched yesterday a further part of our Commonwealth Says No More campaign to end violence against women and girls and sexual violence with our Join the Chorus campaign. And I hope everyone is going to join the chorus. And we've also launched the idea that we're going to have a SDG 5 toolkit. So this is about implementation, but it will take all of us. And if we want change, if we want justice, if we want human rights for everyone, then we have to have human rights for women. And whilst 50% of the Commonwealth and 50% of our world, just over 50% of our world were female, if we're not able to get their talent, their ingenuity and their power released in a way that will benefit the world, we're going to be really, really disadvantaged. So I think we found the way to do it. It's going to take all of us, but look who we've got on this call. We're all saying, not in my name, and we are going to be the difference we want to see in the world.
Bravo. Thank you so much. And thank you for pointing out that peace is actually an excellent investment. There's a huge ROI for peace, and especially a huge ROI for gender equality. And so it's not just a matter of it's doing the right thing. It makes bloody economic sense as well. Liv, COVID-19 has accentuated many forms of violence. In the rebuilding process, we face a turning point. We have to act fast or risk a brutal future of escalating violence, conflict, and human rights violations. How can we ensure that the world is working together to achieve the ambitious goal of having global violence by 2030?
Thank you. Well, let me first say that I'm very honored and happy to be part of this great panel. Women leaders taking leadership on peace issues, crucially important. Now, how are we going to ensure that world leaders and countries work together? It's going to take a lot of ambition, leadership, and a lot of energy and guts, I think, much more than what we see today. Now, if I may just take half a step back, what have we seen over the past decades? We've seen inequality growing. We've seen injustice growing. A couple of years back, the Task Force on Justice documented that 5 billion people are without sufficient access to justice. Now, the injustice and inequality has also impacted on polarization. There's anger growing out there. Social unrest has been increasing. All of this triggers also for violence. Now, it's going to take a lot to get us back on track. The UN member states agreed to significantly reduce violence with the Sustainable Development Goals. We are far off track when it comes to the 2030 goals that were set. So we are very happy and proud from the Pathfinder side to launch the task force on halving global violence today on Peace Day, chaired by Costa Rica, Liberia, South Africa, Switzerland, and with key thinkers and experienced people from think tanks, the UN organizations, all focusing on building a movement to halve global violence by 2030. And we are saying halving global violence because we think, point number one, it's important to have a concrete goal, and we think this is the first stepping stone to reduce and eliminate violence altogether. Concrete goals, and we are focusing on solutions in order to find ways to eliminate violence. Now, the UN Secretary General has said in the common agenda that we need new thinking. We need a new agenda for peace building, and we believe that this focus on finding solutions, exchanging experiences, building a movement in order to actually keep a focus on the target. We want to reduce violence, urban violence, domestic violence, etc. That is a movement that can take us forward. So I'm happy to be here today and very happy that we are launching the task force with the statement out also, setting the path for a better future.
Thank you so much. Natalie, representing, the role of corporations and what business can do, what is the role of the corporate sector in protecting women, safeguarding them from gender-based violence, and helping them gain financial independence?
Thanks, Margarita. Really pleased to be here today with such an audacious group of women. So I'm pleased to have the opportunity to discuss this today. And if I'm representing the corporate sector today, I would say first and foremost, business is a force for good and has got a really crucial role to play in tackling some of these burning issues facing the world right now, both people and planet. When it comes to violence, and specifically gender-based violence, more violence takes place in our homes, in our schools, in our workplaces than it does on the front line. So whilst Avon is geared around supporting the issues that matter to women, our business model is about empowering women, actually taking a step back from that, us in the corporate sector can do a lot to tackle this. Firstly, we know that gender violence is rooted in gender inequality. It stems from that. So the more that we can all do to promote women in our workplace, to promote gender equality, we're already 50% representation in our senior leadership in Avon, but we know that we can do more. We know we can do more on inclusion generally, and we would encourage others to join us in going for that 50-50 balance. I also think you cannot underestimate the importance of promoting a culture of inclusion and tolerance. And as part of that, Avon, and I've seen a lot of other organisations do this, have a gender-based violence policy and a protocol, so that if anybody in our organisation needs help, we have a network of ambassadors, we have a network of NGOs that we fund who can be there to help. You know, one of the most important things about this issue is raising awareness and having people know where to go to get help. And I think for Avon in particular, we have this network of millions of Avon representatives, beauty entrepreneurs. So there's something really important about moments today, about encouraging people to take a moment and speak out, to raise awareness of these issues. So we all have got the opportunity here and to become a network of peace ambassadors, to raise awareness, to signpost where to go to help. And it's all of those small individual actions that collectively are going to make the difference, are going to create change for the future.
Wonderful. I love that. No, it's incumbent on all of us to create peace in the world. And the simplest way that we do it is in the small interactions that we have with the people around us every day. And we spend most of our time in the workplace. So it's this huge opportunity to build peace in the workplace. I love this.